And so we awake after surviving an extreme mission within the zone, with no one having any clue as to why. But we are alive, so that is what counts. But where the hell are we? Well, we are at the Clear-Sky base, a secret organization trying to research the zone and trying to keep it from going off. We play as S.T.A.L.K.E.R the mercenary, and we're just set off into this crazy world again. Compared to Shadow of Chernobyl, the HUD has changed a bit, but many things are quite similar. Hey, even the map is pretty much the same. But starting off, I talked to Professor Polev, and to my shock, many characters in this game actually have fully voice-acted dialogue. At least in the beginning. This tapers off a little bit towards the end. He explained that the actions people are taking might actually irritate the zone. That means that a lot of the emissions are actually from people trying to get closer to the center. Because the zone can't be destroyed, the only way forward is actually peaceful coexistence. And this is the mission of Clear-Sky. While talking to Code, at some point Lebedev just barges in and wants to see me, so of course I just go back to talk to him. And as we're talking to Lebedev, another transmission comes in that one of the Clear-Sky outposts is under attack. So we are tasked with helping fight off the attack. After getting some equipment, we are set free into the swamps. We get a couple of explanations, mainly about how anomalies and artifacts work, because they work a little bit different in this game. Anomalies are still the same thing, however, artifacts can now be found inside of anomalies using a detector. After getting up onto the tower, another mission knocks me out cold, but the visuals here, they are really scary. I mean, look at all of these birds falling from the sky all of a sudden. That is wild. I love it. Anyway, we wake up again at the base, having survived another crazy mission. Hooray! Basically, Lebedev tells us that each emissions we take the brunt of is slowly going to kill us. Alright, let's go! Continue to talk to Lebedev, he explains that Clear-Sky's hypothesis is that emissions are simply a defense mechanism by the zone to protect its core. And the largest emission that we have survived was likely due to someone making it past a certain point. Specifically, making it past the Brain Scorcher. So we need to get to Cordon to talk to Sidirovich, but first, we will help out Clear the swamp.
Hey Lebedev, hey, so how about we rename Clear-Sky to Clear Swamp, you know, after I dealt with this. Yeah? Listen, I think this is a great idea. Lebedev? Hello? Okay, whatever.
Nimble explains us how the PDA works and some really useful information and new features in Clear-Sky. For example, the faction war system. I'll explain it as we go through some levels, but it is really cool. Anyway, after some preparation, we take a guide off to the swamps, and here we go. And that's basically the faction war system in action. As you're moving through an area, timed missions appear in multiple locations on the map. Some of them are super tight, so in terms of timing, you don't always make them. But that's not always a bad thing. If you can't make it for some reason, the missions simply cancel themselves. And as far as I can tell, there's not really any bad thing that happens. However, if you do make it, every time mission will actually help you earn some rewards. So it can be quite lucrative to help wherever you can. I first help at the gravel pit and then go to the fishing hamlet. And the missions just continue to keep coming in. To be honest, the faction war system is a really cool thing in my opinion. Although the time missions are a bit strangely implemented sometimes, but anyway. I take out the lookout tower all by myself because of course, Kaupenjoe again, as per usual with these games. Anyway, after taking the tower, some Clear-Sky soldiers start to advance. Now this is really cool. It actually also shows how the factions and war system is quite dynamic. So in theory, even without the player being anywhere or doing anything, things are still happening. It gives the illusion that the world is breathing and alive, which is pretty cool. After circling back and getting some ammo, I move to this oil refinery type of thing, and first I try with a frontal assault. Yeah, that didn't quite work out because I only have a shotgun, and as we know, video game logic says shotguns do not work after 20 meters. Even with causing explosions of the red barrels, nothing works here. However, then I get the idea to actually really turn into Rambo. I simply go beneath the structure, sneak through the water, and shooting enemies from below. And wouldn't you know it, this tactic actually works like a charm. Reinforcements arrive not a minute too soon. After dispatching the bandits here, we intercept a signal that more bandit reinforcements are making their way to the oil refinery. Great! However, these guys are easily dealt with, and the tides of battle are slowly shifting towards us. There's still quite a big enemy presence on the map, but we're slowly taking some key positions. As I continue to advance, I get ambushed, but luckily I have the power of reloading a save on my side. So I just chuck a grenade at these guys. Yeah, it really was super effective. Continuing further along, the atmosphere is crazy again. A bloodsucker comes out of nowhere, takes one of our guys with him, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, I don't know what to do. It's a bummer for this guy, but man, that's what you want to see, right? The atmosphere once again absolutely fantastic. By fulfilling some side quests from Clear Sky soldiers, you can also replenish the faction's resources, effectively making them stronger in the process. You continue to first clear out the burned farmstead, and then I single-handedly clear out the entirety of the bandit layers. And that with nothing more than a shotgun and some good old elbow grease. Now, one very strange thing after clearing it out is that I had to wait like 3 minutes for the characters to make their way across the map to finally arrive at the lair. Yes, it makes it a little bit more realistic, but it's kind of a dead time in my opinion. They could have probably handled this a little bit better. But to be fair, maybe I also was just way too fast. So, you know, the Clear Sky soldiers just hadn't had time to move up the map, but whatever. And the very last position to be captured is towards the southeast, which is basically the way out of the swamps. Well, Kaupenjoe at your service again. So off I go and capture the last point of interest. And once again, I wait a couple of minutes for the Clear Sky soldiers to arrive. Oh well. Now, one funny thing is that one of these guys is my guide, and I need him to either get back to the Clear Sky base or out of the swamp. However, if you try to talk to him before he's in position, he just shoves you for some reason. What? Okay, after he is finally in position, I first return to the base to collect my rewards, and man, that was worth it. What the heck? I also get to sell some guns and stuff that I collected along the way. I also get myself a better artifact detector, which, well, it wasn't really worth it in the end, but you know, more on that later. A new extremely welcome addition is the mechanic or technician. They're able to fix both weapons and armor for you. I may or may not know something about a faulty and destroyed armor. I might have played the last mission of Shadow of Chernobyl twice with a fully broken armor, so yeah, this is a game changer. And of course, this won't happen again, right? Right? Not only that, they can also upgrade your armor and your weapons, increasing magazine size, reducing the weight, things like that. Honestly, some super useful stuff. And also, some of it is actually quite cheap, so of course, I upgrade a couple of things. And then it is off to Cordon. The main mission is clear. Find out who the stalker is that was able to get past the Brain Scorcher. However, as luck would have it, we are right next to an army outpost, and I genuinely don't know the intended way to get past this, so I just book it and it somehow works? I don't know. This might keep happening, by the way. I don't know the intended way, and I just sort of force my way through, and it keeps working, so hey, let's go. So we finally get to talk to Sidirovich, and after playing the first game, it's actually quite nice to see a familiar face. He's willing to give me some information on the Stalker if I help him with some business dispute. Sure, Stalkers on one side, the military on the other. Let's go. Another cool thing that is introduced in Clear Sky is a fast travel system. The game desperately needed that. However, the way that it is implemented is kind of similar to Morrowind. You pay an in-game character for transportation. However, unlike it is in Morrowind, the prices here are insane. If you wanted to make it easier to get around, these prices should have been, like, decimated. Literally, a tenth of what they are now would be fine. But, okay, fair enough. At least the option is available. I help Wolf with a side mission, basically going over to these dogs that are attacking Drifter, and it's actually quite hard to have the dogs not kill him, but I managed to save him and safely escort him back to Cordon. The side mission gets me a meager reward of 500 rubles, and that's not even enough to get into the swamp, so yeah, okay. Well, it does raise my resistance to do certain side missions just a little bit. Regardless though, we have a job to do. Moving forward to the bus station, some stalkers are attacked by the army. And of course, I gotta help them. That is, if my damn weapon wouldn't jam so much. Don't worry. I still have a jam rant incoming later, okay? Because honestly, the jamming is just ridiculous. It's not even the good kind of jamming. Anyway, the great thing about fighting the army is that they have great weapons, so look at that.
Would you look at this? I really missed you.
After looting everything and continuing my way towards the base, I realized my gun is gone. What?
What the heck? Hello?
So I double back, trying to check everywhere, and I just can't find it. I was like, oh, I probably dropped it accidentally. No, I actually know what happened after I rewatched the footage. Okay, look at this, okay? I talked to this hurt guy. I offer him my medkit, and then he takes my gun. What?
Well, no good deed goes unpunished, I guess.
Eventually, I just say frick it and just continue with the smaller AK as my main weapon, but still, I'm a little bit salty about this. I go to the Stalker base and talk to the boss there, Father Valerian. Basically, the situation looks like this. The army used to let the Stalkers transport goods throughout the outpost. However, the commander of the military also supplied some of the bandits, which may or may not have led to 2 Stalkers being sold as slaves. Yikes. While the commander is being kept hostage by the Stalkers, he is also the only one who knows the location of the loot. Great. Gotta play mediator now. My first thought on this mission was, oh, I probably get to decide who I side with, right? Which is pretty cool, but there's probably a super secret third option. We can somehow get both sides to agree. Well, even if there is, I just say frick it, I mow down the commander's friends, and suddenly the commander is super willing to talk. Let's go. This is some of the lead persuasion kind. I love it. I find the loot together with this guy, and I decide not to shoot him, and I even offer some help. One of his friends was in a tunnel. We'll check that out later. I'm sure that's gonna be a fun side mission. But first, we're back to Serdirovich to deliver the loot. He tells us that the stalker in question bought some electronic parts, and he also tells us there is a lead at the garbage. So off we are. But before, I want to take a look at this side mission for this army guy. So I decided to walk all the way to the tunnel on the right side of the fence. Now, my first complaint here is the stamina again, right? You can run for like 20 meters and then your stamina only recovers when you stand perfectly still. This has been an issue in the first game as well, but it's ridiculous. And the issue is that the amount of stamina you burn through for running, it seems to be proportional to the amount of weight you carry. That points for realism, I guess, but for the gameplay, it just sucks. It's ridiculous. And then when I reach the end, I notice there's no way through the fence, meaning I have to trek all the way back around the fence, this time going on the tracks, and of course, the same stamina issues still plague me, both going back and forward. Now, finally at the tunnel entrance, there is a huge anomaly which simply teleports you back to the tunnel entrance. Okay, you know what? Frick this guy and his friend. I don't care enough. I'm gonna be real, I don't care enough. I just make my way towards the garbage. Walking through, I will say, the atmosphere during night, once again, it is spectacular. It is absolutely amazing. This is something these Stalker games are just great at, setting an atmosphere that is amazingly creepy. I reached this checkpoint where two factions are fighting, and because I'm not hostile to either one of them, I just look at the fight, get some loot, and simply pass on to the next location. This is where I'm greeted by Mr. Eddick from the bandits. They are super nice. They simply take all of my money, but will let me pass. Now, I really don't appreciate that. So of course, I mow all of them down and realize there's no way to get my money back. This mechanic surely will not be used again, right? Well, even if, I just reload and don't even wait. Eddick is history with one shot, and the others, well, they don't take long either. This might have gotten me a bit of a bad reputation with the bandits, but to be fair, okay, when you think about it, you really want to have a good relationship with a faction called the Bandits? I don't know. Moral of the story is, I get to keep my 670 rubles, and I happily continue. I take out the bandit outpost where two of the stalkers are held hostage, and I finally find my first artifact. And now on to a short artifact rant. I really don't like the new system, because either I am misunderstanding it, which is very much possible, but pretty much you have to deliberately go into an anomaly to find an artifact, and in the entirety of the game, every artifact I have found was absolute rubbish. They literally, all of them gave me plus radiation, which basically means I can't wear them because, well, I'm just gonna get irradiated. And yes, selling them is kind of worth it, but why have the system in the first place? So, it's kind of a spoiler on my playthrough. I ended up wearing basically not a single artifact the entire run. Like I said, I don't know if it's my fault, but I never found any of them that I couldn't wear without being blasted by radiation. Continuing along, we find some corpses, speaking of another stalker called Fang. Now this is the guy we really need to find. Luckily, some help is right around the corner. And just across this field... Oh wait, well, let's wait for the stamina to recharge. And there it is! You just gotta kill some of these rabid dogs and we're good. Vasyan was also following Fang, who seems to be all the way into the Dark Valley. Well, at least that means we have another lead to follow. I sell both of my artifacts to Vasyan, and then, just for shits and giggles, I want to know if I can get them back if I kill him. But yeah, that doesn't work. Alright. Fair enough, fair enough. And off to the Dark Valley we go, where we're hailed by a Freedom soldier. He invites us to the Freedom base right within the Dark Valley. Sure, let's freaking go. On my way to the base, what feels like 1,000 dogs all of a sudden descend onto me, and on my second try around, I pull an Obi-Wan on them because, ha, I have the high ground. Walking around the Freedom base, I start noticing I have seen this before. I've been here before, in Shadow of Chernobyl, that is. Anyway, we go talk to Commandant Lingov, and he tells us that the leader of Freedom is currently under quarantine. So, meanwhile, we just do some quests for him. First of all, we get rid of a pseudo-dog nest west of the base. This is a simple mission, but it's actually quite cool. The pseudo-dog spawns visions of dogs attacking you with some insanely interesting visuals. So the question is, which is the actual pseudo-dog? Well, just don't stop shooting, that is what I recommend. Another mission from Lingov has us deliver some ammo from Ashot to supply some Freedom guys at a nearby outpost. However, a sudden message from Chekhov reveals that
The outpost was attacked.
So, we recover the PDA and I also upgrade my weapon, taking on the IL-86 as a new primary weapon. The only issue now is that I want to sell some of the other weapons, however I am already over my maximum carrying capacity. While you can go over a little bit, no more running at this point. So I just say, frick it, I'll just come back later and sell the loot then. But first, the PDA. I sell some of the weapons that I don't need and go back to loot some more. Listen, you never know when this money might come in handy. I sell some more crap, making a couple of 100 rubles, which is not that much, but I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess.
Listen, it is always a great idea to save your money. You never know when you might need it. You know, a couple of $100 or maybe even 1,000 saved up. We might need supplies, we might need some ammo. You know, it's like anything could happen, you know? And it's like, it's not like anything could ever happen to the money itself, right? The money is safe, absolutely. Like, you will always have access to that money. Don't even worry about it, you know? You'll always get to keep it. It's super simple, and honestly, just save it for a rainy day. Nothing will ever happen to it. Right? Right?
And then finally I get to speak to Chekhov, the leader of Freedom here. And it turns out Lingov was a traitor. Isn't that nice? Freedom will help me with the search for Fang if I help them find out who is attacking them and also to find the Commandant. Now before we're off hunting down the Commandant though, I decide against my better judgment to search for some artifacts. Yes, I possibly looked at some guides where those are, but listen. It doesn't matter anyway. We got this one on top of the silos, and of course it is useless again because it adds radiation. On my way to another artifact, I got the message to help Freedom against some mercenaries. This is also where the Commandant is as well, so let's go. After a quick firefight, we learn that the Commandant was already terminated by the mercenaries. All we gotta do is collect his PDA and return to Chekhov. This mission seems like it could have been stretched a little bit more in my opinion. Like, one criticism I have so far is that the quests are, like, not necessarily linear, but, I mean, they are linear, but they're also, like, close together. And I don't know how to feel about this. Like, on some of these missions, I think you could have done way more. Anyway, off to collecting some rewards, which I don't even know why I'm getting rewards here, but I'll take it. And then also repairing my gear. We deliver the PDA to Chekhov, and he tells us that Fang is back at the garbage. Well, at least now we have Fang's PDA frequency, meaning his location is marked on our map. I decided to do one more Freedom job for some money, because why not? It would always come in handy. We simply need to capture 2 antennas inside of the valley. The swamp one is, like, super easy, because there's so many Freedom soldiers very eager to help, and after getting frustrated with the amount of stamina again, I make it a mission to find an endurance artifact. However, here, there's another useless artifact simply giving me telepathy and radiation again. Thanks for nothing. While trying to get this artifact, the other antenna was already captured by itself, which immediately led to the location of the tunnel being revealed, so of course, we help. Or not really. First of all, artifact hunt. I may or may not have forgotten to record this, but yeah, it was just mama's beats, so once more, completely useless. And from this point onward, I pretty much swore off artifact hunting entirely. Although the ones that I did collect are gonna get me a nice sum of money, so the trip was well worth it. It's not like the money would ever go missing, you know, so that's pretty nice. We go back to help with the factory, and to be honest, those mercs, they're just super easy to deal with. You know, especially with the amount of Freedom soldiers all around providing cover, absolutely amazing. The last guy was just chilling in the back courtyard, and then the tunnels are blown up and we get to collect the reward back at the Freedom base. I sell some artifacts, stock up on supplies and collect my rewards, and look at that, with a nice 11k rubles, we now continue the search for Fang. So let's go. The PDA's location comes from below the building. So of course, I go down and...
This place is pretty damn good. Look at all these stalkers.
So the bandits stole all of my stuff, including the 11,000 rubles I had saved up. The issue here is that anything Lebedev is currently yapping on about, right, might be super interesting, but not right now, because I just lost everything. I think this is a completely misplaced way to deliver the story. Also, why would the bandits not take Fang's PDA with them again? It makes zero sense to leave it there. Regardless, our first objective is to get our stuff back. After trying to fight them with a single pistol and still being salty about the robbery and my 11k, I simply use the power of reloading. Listen, if the game is going to be unfair to me, I will also be unfair to the game. Doesn't bother me one bit. So of course, like any sane person, I just stash all of my weapons and loot outside, and of course I still get shot, all of my money still gets taken away. I simply pick up the items again, and well, there you go. As for the story, Lebedev tells us that the group of stalkers was able to reach the center of the zone. This does not bode well, because our only option is pretty much to stop the stalkers. Otherwise, the emissions will keep getting worse and worse, with the last emission probably wiping out everyone inside of the zone. But before we can go to the group's stash, first of all, I have to deal with these bandits. So I just collect all of my stuff again, except for the 11,000 rubles. Buy the fucking zone! This has me so freaking mad. Who thought that this was a good idea? I double checked and the internet said yes, the money is gone. This is so stupid. I'm not going to rant about this too much, but like, what kind of a stupid ass game design decision is this? Mind you, because this is a mandatory mission to progress, you have to lose all of your money, however much it is. If you've done all side quests before and you didn't spend your money, you had like 50k on the bank, all gone now. Frick you. Well, whatever. We make our way around the train station and I get rid of some of the bandits and then just ignore the rest. Cause frick these bitches, really. And here we run into duty. First step, of course, is to talk to their leader again. So we're going with their group when all of a sudden a bloodsucker once again jumps out of nowhere and takes one of the guys with him. God damn. But because this troop is so freaking slow, I just follow the road on my own. After all, this is Kaupenjoe we're talking about, so yeah, easy enough. I go into this complex and this seems eerily familiar if you played the first game. It's actually really nice revisiting some of the old locations. Well, they're new locations because you're revisiting them in the past, but whatever. We talk to duty leadership and they tell us because of a flood of mutants, all entrances to the underground are sealed shut. Man, at this point I would really love to repair some of my gear and get some upgrades.
But the issue is I don't have any freaking money. Look at this. Look at this. 0 rubles. Big old goose egg.
Well, I reached the hole where a new entrance is supposed to be made, and first of all, we gotta help with these freaking snorks. All duty soldiers are gone, but I, as always, remain. After some needed looting, let's descend into the Agroprom Research Institute down below. As we're making our way down, fire starts to spew behind us, so I decided to just hide in this alcove, but yeah, apparently the fire was looking for me, or it's not moving, so whatever. I just tanked the fire, continue up, and there we go. Inside this huge room, you have to fight a controller, and, you know, a death counter is fine, but how about a jam counter this time, huh? Yes, it was only 4 times, and it doesn't seem like it's much. But like, you fire 1 or 2 bullets, and the gun jams again. This is, like, while in the flow of the game, this is beyond frustrating. Now, it does turn out there's quite a good reason for it, and that is because the gun that I'm using is, yeah, it's great. Anyway, I turn the valve and I book it because I only have 40 seconds to escape. Up the ladder, and we're back to safety. 1 level above, we start running into bandits again, and then we revisit a familiar stash.
Guys, this is S.T.A.L.K.E.R. I didn't expect Doc to fix me up so fast.
And there we have it. The group and the stalker we're trying to stop is S.T.A.L.K.E.R. He is near Lake Yantar, so that's our next destination. Luckily, due to me helping duty, I get around a 10k bonus. This at least helps me with repairing my completely broken armor, and so I'm not totally useless anymore. And then off to Lake Yantar. On my way there, I collect another artifact, which I can't use, and we're greeted by some zombies. I also switched to a new weapon, which is much better. At Lake Yantar, we first of all have to help by dispatching some of the incoming zombies. After dealing with all of them, off we are to talk to the scientist. And there he is, Professor Stalker. Now he tells us that S.T.A.L.K.E.R visited the scientists here, which it might be one tiny plot hole, because if S.T.A.L.K.E.R has already met Stalker before, I'm not quite sure why I didn't recognize him in the first game, but whatever. Anyway, S.T.A.L.K.E.R got a psi emission blocker and went towards the factory near the lake. This is the best lead we have, so let's go. Among the corpses, we find a PDA with some documents, and after dispatching a few more zombies, first around the corpses and then around the lab, we can give the documents to Stalker, who deduces that most of these psi emissions come from a failure in a cooling system of the device. So we can move in with a group of stalkers and repair the cooling system. Together with the stalkers, we're trying to get rid of a bunch of zombies, and finally in position, these stalkers are fixing the cooling system. This is all why we need to protect the engineering team from the zombies. Doing this mission in near complete darkness might not have been the best idea. And yes, even with a flashlight. And as time goes by, the amount of zombies, they just keep coming, and I start running out of ammo. Luckily though, the cooling systems are back online, which means we're good to go. S.T.A.L.K.E.R signal was picked up near the red forest, so off we go. We're actually super close to S.T.A.L.K.E.R. We can see him right in front of us for just a second. But of course he's booking it. Probably has a couple of endurance artifacts I was unable to get. Anyway, continuing along, the tunnel S.T.A.L.K.E.R used is blown up, meaning the only way to catch him is to go through limansk. However, in order to reach there, the crane has to be lowered, which is sadly controlled by the bandits. Oh, well, now a positive opinion of the bandits would have been nice. By the way, that wouldn't have actually mattered. It doesn't matter. You can't have a positive opinion with the bandits. They're not going to lower the bridge anyway. So we need to make our way through the red forest and find this old guy who can supposedly help us figure out a way on how to cross to the other side. Sure, I guess. Now at night, the red forest is crazy. There's radiation, strange sounds everywhere, side dogs and all sorts of creepy things coming from left, right, and behind you. However, before I proceed, I decide, you know what, my armor is broken again, so let's fast travel back to the duty base to first of all trade some stuff and also repair my gear. I mean, I got 8,000 rubles left, so we should be good to go, right? First of all, I go in, trade some stuff, get some more ammo, and then I want to fix my armor. However, I have to sell some more stuff because, well, the fixing armor is quite expensive. And then, of course, I have 0 money left, which means I don't have the money for the fast travel anymore. Because of course it costs 1400 rubles. Listen, fast travel being so expensive, I could have seen past it. If the game hadn't taken away my 11k rubles before. I'm still pissed at this, especially now that I barely have any money left. What is this? I reload, I fix up my gear, trade only the essentials, and travel back to the Red Forest. Trying to get my elevated anger levels under control, the Red Forest is still wonderfully creepy and ominous. After avoiding an emission by hiding in a tunnel with a bunch of snorks above this tank, there is an anomaly that teleports me straight to where I want to go. That's pretty nice. So off we are talking to Forrester. He tells us something about the Stalker who has found a new way to Limansk. However, their signal is super weak. So off we go to the military warehouse. We have to get some high ground. Luckily, this road leads to the warehouse, and to get to the water tower, we simply have to get rid of 2 bloodsuckers. And finally, we can receive this transmission.
If you can hear me, we're stuck in an anomaly.
It turns out the mercenaries are stuck in an anomaly. After finishing this transmission, what feels like 100 dogs are waiting for me down below. However, I think these dogs, they haven't watched Star Wars, because...
well, I have the high ground.
I make quick work of them and return to Forrester, who tells me that he has previously been stuck in an anomaly too, but the zone gave him an artifact to escape. However, sadly, this has been stolen by bandits not too far from here. Okay, so overall, some of these story missions seem like really contrived. You know, whereas like, let's say the Commandant mission with Freedom, I feel like that could have been stretched a little bit longer, because like that was contrived because it was so short. This feels like super strange.
Well, you see, I had this exact MacGuffin you need, but wouldn't you believe it, just a couple of days ago, I was robbed by these bandits that took it, and yeah, it's the exact thing you need, so I don't know.
Anyway, I make my way to the bandits who are like chilling literally right next to camp. And look, okay, I'm not a fan of endless walking, okay? I've been complaining about the stamina the entire time. But like, sometimes the proximity of like quest giver and quest is like small, like way too small.
Now that is really small, what?
And here it is again. Let's make a jam counter again. Yes, I haven't fired a single freaking shot. That is the most infuriating shit ever. Like, what the fuck? So I switch to my beloved AK and I just say, frick it. Moving into the tunnel, there's nothing exciting going on except finding the artifact, which of course gives you +6 endurance with no radiation poisoning. At this point, the devs are just trolling. They're like, yeah. No, we could give you some really cool, powerful and useful stuff, but no. We'd rather just give you artifacts with constant radiation and take all your damn money away. Whatever, of course I equip it. And now look at this. I can run. Run, Forest. Run. And I'm running without losing any stamina. How great would this be? But of course the dream is shattered, because after 1 minute I have to give up the artifact to this old guy again. Farewell, my friend. It was nice knowing you. Going back to the army base, I talked to one of the mercenaries, and what we need to do is we need to actually take over the entire army base in order to use its transmitter. Luckily, Freedom is there to help, so let's take over that base. As the assault on the army base commences, I can't help but realize that this whole thing, the base basically being taken by Freedom, is completely canon. Because in Shadow of Chernobyl, you can join duty in attacking the same base when it is full of Freedom soldiers. I love this kind of continuity. This is just awesome to see. This is also one of the reasons I really think that if you want to play the Stalker franchise, you should really start with Clear Sky, because I think that that makes the story way more interesting. Anyway, it takes me a good 5 minutes to eliminate everyone in this base, but when we finally get inside and finish this thing, I can finally stock up on some more ammo and supplies, and of course, looting everything I find. At the top of the tower, we finally get the mercenaries out of the anomaly, and they are now heading to Limansk. So, help is on its way. And back at the crane, one of the most frustrating missions of the entire game begins. I first of all start by shooting some people because, well, it's a shooter game, right? But at some point, the stalkers arrive and they start lowering the bridge. They just do it slowly, like very, very slowly. Okay, let's take a look at this, okay? Starting this firefight, I have around 523 556 rounds and about 676 545 rounds. And some more other rounds. So let's just tally this up right now and let's see what I have at the end. Anyway, the bandits just keep spawning in. And from time to time, a sniper starts spawning on the hill. Now, the issue is that all of the weapons I have are super inaccurate. The only good one has like 17 shots left with this sniper-ish rifle. So I get to take out the sniper, fighting begins again, and the bridge slowly starts lowering until another sniper appears. Now this repeats like 5 or 6 times, maybe even 10, I don't even know, until finally, after like 10 minutes of this same bullshit and me pretty much being completely out of ammo, we finally get to cross the bridge. I loot all the bandit corpses that remain because many of these motherfrickers, they despawned. I kill way more than this. Anyway, talking to Lebedev again, it's time to go. And of course, once again, I have barely functional armor. And yeah, this is going to be a recurring issue for final missions, isn't it? Oh no! Well, we go into Limansk and have to be careful of a bandit ambush. I'm really not sure how you're supposed to deal with this ambush, so I just trigger the stun grenades and flush out the bandits by throwing, or trying to throw, some grenades into the windows. And then honestly, it's all about patience, and all of them are gone, so we can continue along. I think what they're trying to capture here is the same feeling that you had in the first game when you were going through Pripyat, with all of the tall buildings, urban warfare, stalkers by your side. But honestly, in my opinion, it kind of feels flat here, and it's not that same. Basically, the whole mission involves going from one firefight to the next, and the whole level just seems really restrictive. Sometimes if you try to go around, there's a crazy amount of radiation, so I don't know. Going forward, we secure a building once again by focusing on a machine gun nest, and once that is cleared, we move along the road where we have to be careful because these anomalies, they will teleport us back to the beginning. Going through the bus has us emerge where we're at a construction site, and of course, Joe has to come out again. Like imagine, there's so many people who have such a better position than me, and yet I completely decimate these fools. Now to be fair, it does take me quite a while, but still. And also, Monolith, man, they have been scary in the previous game, for real. Clearing the construction site and escaping, we meet up with Clear Sky again and slowly make our way to the exit of Limansk. Well, the only way to continue along is to get through the water, however that is being electrocuted, meaning walking through is just a death waiting to happen. Now listen, I have no idea again how I'm supposed to solve this, so after knowing where the generator is, I just walk across the water and that somehow works. I just go up here, easily disable the generator, and there we go. Alright, continuing through, we are inside of a building, and apparently this sniper is just invincible. Like, why? Well, it turns out I wasn't supposed to shoot him at that time. I don't know. I also make quick work of the machine gunner, and basically the rest of this first part of the mission is just mowing down an increasing amount of monolith guys, advancing here and there, and then reaching the other side of the building. But then, then the military shows up. And now this is probably the most memorable part of this entire game, because we get to fight a helicopter. Of course, of everything in Clear Sky, this is by far the one thing I remember the best. While it is quick, it is super memorable and freaking badass. To be fair, with a high-powered sniper rifle, we need like 30 shots to down this thing, so the boss fight itself isn't hard, but it is memorable. And after the helicopter is dispatched, we have a Clear Sky. Roll credits. No, it's fine. I jumped down, which really wasn't a good idea because monolith guys keep coming from every side and every corner, and now we have to wait 60 seconds to progress. These 60 seconds, they feel forever. But Joe, he is able to hold his own, of course. And finally, we made it to the Chernobyl NPP. Here I'm given a Gauss rifle to which I'm supposed to shoot S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Now, I don't seem to be hitting him, so try to aim it up a little bit higher. I'm not quite sure, but I think to myself, okay, we're just gonna go through the portal to seek a better position, and I deal with these monolith guys. I take a couple of hits, and now I realize, well, you actually do have to center S.T.A.L.K.E.R. on your crosshair, even though it looks like the thing that you're shooting is hitting way down below, and Lebedev keeps reminding us that
Less time wasting. Watch S.T.A.L.K.E.R. shooting.
Fair enough, as we continue to shoot him, I get off my last shot and the side protection is finally disabled, and then, well, then we get this.
Less time wasting. Watch S.T.A.L.K.E.R. shooting. They're about to stop him. Now we just wait and see what happens. How are the readings? Any drop in the level of anomalous activity? Yeah, I didn't expect anything like this. Anomalous activity is through the roof. Less time wasting. Watch S.T.A.L.K.E.R. supposed to calm down. What's going on? My head's about to explode.
A huge emission. Let's watch. Yeah, that was the ending cutscene. Man, that is super anticlimactic. What?
Well, regardless, now that we played Stalker the Clear Sky, what can I say? Compared to Shadow of Chernobyl, there are some definite clear improvements, right? However, it seems like there's also quite a few misses, and just a couple of things that just don't make any sense. Some of these downgrades I really do not like is the new artifact system. Mainly because it just, like, every single artifact that I've found so far, they've all been rubbish. Completely useless. Like, you couldn't use them at all because all of them were giving you the freaking radiation, man. The possibility of repairing your gear was actually super nice, and the entire faction war system, even though I only slightly engaged with it, it was actually a really cool idea. Very well implemented. The inventory and stamina systems still are an issue I just hate dealing with. You know, same with the economy, especially, you know, when bandits steal 11,000 rubles from you. And yes, I am still mad about this. This is ridiculous. The fact fast travel costs half a fortune is just unnecessary in my opinion. You know, if I don't want to take like 10 minutes to go from one part of the map to another, it just feels like, you know, just cut it in half or like even, like I said, decimate it. It doesn't make any sense. Now the fact that they did add it at all is still a slight bonus in my book. When it comes to the story, I actually wasn't opposed at all. Now it does feel into the trap of, well, being a prequel, and personally, I never vibe with prequels a lot. But coming back and interfacing with a lot of the same locations that we've seen in Shadow of Chernobyl, that was actually really nice. Now for any newcomers, I would actually suggest first playing Clear Sky, then Shadow of Chernobyl, and then at the end, of course, Call of Pripyat. Now trying to situate this between Shadow of Chernobyl and Clear Sky, which one is the better game? I think Shadow of Chernobyl is just much better in my opinion. Now, to be fair, the first game had like 7 years of development, somewhere around there, so obviously there was way more that they could do. Clear Sky had like 1.5 years-ish, so yeah, even though they reused pretty much most of the world, many of the different systems, and of course the engine that they built, still it doesn't innovate quite enough to be substantially better. So Clear Sky, I can give it a 7.5 out of 10. Pretty much, like, the systems, a lot of them were improved, right? The story, it was a bit basic, but it was alright. And once again, I am a little bit biased because I'm not the biggest fan of prequels. Often they're just, I just don't like how they're implemented most of the time. And then this ending, that felt completely flat. Like, when you think back, right, the helicopter, which in my opinion was the most memorable thing in this entire game, right, that should have been the end. Even if it would have been a little bit contrived, right, that would have been so badass. But oh well. Well, another mission complete, and what, yes, hello? Oh, look at that. Pripyat has called, so let's freaking go. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to continue watching some Stalker, well, how about you watch the retrospective of Call of Pripyat right here once it comes out and it has released. Until then, good hunting, Stalker. So, yeah.